Hello and welcome to the live full moon forecast in Leo for the year 2026. This is going to occur at 13 degrees of Leo on February 1st, 2026. And today I cannot wait to bring you this full moon forecast. We do have an audience in my Zoom room for my Blue Hour subscribers. Big thank you to all of my newsletter subscribers for being here with me and for participating in the live readings that I do just following this. So if you're interested, that is a free newsletter and you can check out the link down in the description. Today, we're going to take a look at this full moon occurring at 2:09 p.m. So with that, let me go ahead and bring up the chart. And here we have our full moon in Leo. So I do work with an Aries rising for my charts for this. So we're not talking about houses today. We're just going to keep it to the planets and their aspects. And here we have our sun at 13 degrees of Aquarius, opposing our lonely moon over here at 13 degrees of Leo. So this Leo Aquarius axis is what is being highlighted with this moon right now. And as you can see, this moon is really on its own over in Leo. Leo doesn't mind being the only one on the stage. It can handle a spotlight, but I will say with so much in its opposition that it's passing through on February 1st, it might feel a little bit isolated and might feel a little bit naked on the stage. And so that vulnerability is something that I think we might be feeling in our hearts, where it might feel like the world is against us or like we are in some way cut off from maybe its powerful structures. Like we have Pluto up here in Aquarius, and like what is the future coming to? We have Mars up here, so these might be forces that are seemingly acting against us. And this Leo moon is very prideful. It can get offended quite easily and get defensive when it feels like it's been attacked or targeted in some way. And like I said, it's proud. So when it stands, it wants to believe that it has something good to say, that it has something meaningful to share and something beautiful to create. And so as this moon is passing through Leo on its own, what it's creating here is, first of all, this opposition, right? And you can see the opposition is with all of these inner planets. And so it's hit after hit after hit with these very intimate spaces where it really could just feel like everything is against us. It could feel like we're not making as much of a difference as we would like. Or perhaps this can also look like a collective shift. Maybe you're sitting here in this Aquarius energy and you're staring down this opposing force that maybe is coming from a place of ego or is standing in a place of power, and you are aligned with others saying this is wrong. This is something we need to work with, something that we need to confront in this time, because this opposition is going to show up to us in a relationship. That's what oppositions typically will show themselves as. Now, of course, we know as above, so below, as within, so without. So as we're dealing with oppositions in a chart and we're meeting this in relationship, this is what is playing out with inside of us. So you might be confronted with all of this Aquarius energy. And what is Aquarius energy, right? It's the energy, the archetype of all of us as humanity equal together. We are all special. We all have unique gifts, but we are all meant to work as a team together. And so you see, there's this large collective force here. Is it for good? Is it for maybe not so good? Or maybe how is it moving forward in progress? Aquarius is very concerned with how are we moving into the future in terms of progress? How are we making our future generations have a home to live in that's going to actually be beneficial to them, and an earth to live on and a community to be a part of? Aquarius wants to set that up and looks toward almost a utopia in the future of like what could be the best case scenario that we can build together. There's that teamwork aspect here of trying to band together. And it's opposing this singular force in Leo. But this Leo moon says, like I said, it's saying, I have pride in what I create. I have pride in myself. I feel like I'm meant to be special, that I can stand maybe in a spotlight, that I'm meant to bring something important, and that maybe I'm meant to carry that on my own. When I looked at this full moon recently, because this, of course, is happening on February 1st, which is going to be Imbolc, right? Merry Imbolc, blessed Imbolc to all of you watching. And this is tomorrow. What I saw truly was a unique opportunity here in this confrontation to really look at ourselves from this perspective of this detachment of Aquarius. In recent weeks, we've had all of these personal planets talk to Pluto, this deep, profound place in the chart, really facing the shadow, potentially facing confrontations or relationships that we needed to evolve and transform. So my question for you would be, have you been asked or challenged to transform in recent weeks? And now with this moon coming across, it's giving us this sort of other perspective of actually detaching and looking at ourselves clearly from a distance. And so maybe this looks like turning to our community and saying, "Hey, I trust you to tell me the truth. What could you illuminate for me that maybe I need to work on, or that would make me happier, that would make me more fulfilled? What does make me fulfilled? Like what lights me up? Can you gauge that from people in your community, maybe your friendships that you trust?" And then also with that, I would say, looking at yourself and separating from your own ego and saying like, okay, I've had to make maybe these changes, these transformations, these realizations as all these planets recently have gone over Pluto. They're headed into the future. Where am I headed right now? What am I trying to progress to? What am I trying to lay for maybe future generations or people that I care about, like my children, maybe it's the earth itself. Maybe it's just the community that you're a part of, right? Are there different changes that you've been thinking about in a bigger aspect than just you and your life? And how do you factor into this? Whenever this axis is worked with in the chart and aspected, we're always asking Leo, the individual, the soul sovereign self, right? Because it's ruled by the sun being the soul, and Aquarius, the collective. And so it's this me versus all of you. Is it a versus? Not necessarily, but I do think that what we see sometimes in that shadow side of Leo, right, is the total egocentrism, the selfishness of like, it's all about me. It's only my story. It's only my perspective. And I am the only one who should be cared about, right? And so with that, Aquarius reminds Leo, hey, it's not all about you. It's actually about all of us together. What can we create together better, more cohesively, more sustainably than you can do all by yourself? Right? Because that's a lonely game. So I wonder, and I'm happy if you are watching, please let me know in the comments and please chat with me if you've had any of these realizations or if this is feeling resonant at all. With all of this Aquarius energy, we actually had this last month in Capricorn, and it was so focused in that Capricorn state, really kind of reminding us of that sense of security and what is safety, what is building a foundation and a system or some sort of a structure within, maybe it's government, maybe it's within work or life that is going to last. Like lasting impact for Capricorn makes such a difference. But as everything moves into now Aquarius, still being ruled by Saturn, by the way, so it's lots of Saturn in the sky right now. Now that focus of time isn't so much as building the legacy for the self and creating security and safety for the self. It's looking into the future for everybody, for the entire collective, entire community. So all of these planets are going to be moving through here. They're being ruled by this Saturn. And let's take a look at our sun, Venus. Here's our sun, our Venus, our Mercury, our Mars, and our Pluto, all being ruled by this Saturn in Pisces. Saturn is at these very, very last degrees of Pisces right now, totally cleaning up the mess in Pisces left by Neptune, which just recently on the 26th of January went into Aries, signaling another 12-year era going forward, which is crazy. But we have Saturn in Pisces right now, sort of wrapping up all of these stories, maybe putting that last, it could feel like even like a guilt backpack of what do you have left to finish? Like, what are the closing chapters that must be done? And time is ticking away. Saturn is very heavy at these last degrees of Pisces, and he's going to be stepping forward into Aries on February 13th, where he'll stay for the next 2.5 years. But right now, we're still in this closing energy. So it's interesting that all of these planets in Aquarius, while we are looking forward in time, we dealt with their transformative transits with Pluto earlier this month. And Saturn is reminding us that there are still loops to be closed. There are still chapters that need to end in our life and things we need to put behind us in order to progress forward. And so maybe this Leo moon is asking, hey, have I been actually paying attention? First of all, the moon is our body. It's how we relate to our physical human body. And so, oftentimes, this is why we have such high emotions around the full moons, because our moon, our body, our emotions, our heart, there's all that the moon runs in the chart. This is what's being highlighted by the sun's energy and magnified. And so when our body's being magnified, sometimes that's our body fighting back and saying, hey, will you listen to me? And in Leo, it's saying, I need life, I need joy, I need creativity, I need vitality. So it's not necessarily this self-centered thing. It's actually asking, have you considered yourself in all of this effort that you're making toward a future with a collective? Have you listened to your own needs for creativity and for joy? And as you finish these chapters, has this been a part of what you've been doing, or have you been neglecting that part of yourself? These are all questions that are being asked just within this axis and this planetary ruler. What I think is interesting is Saturn is the ruler of all of these Aquarius planets, but the sun is the ruler of the moon right now. And the sun is as far away from its rulership in Leo as it can possibly get. So this is adding to that feeling of maybe feeling alone or alienated or vulnerable. And even Aquarius itself has the tendency to see itself as alien, as different from everybody. Like they're trying so hard to create a community, be a part of a group or a found family that they relate to and can get excited about certain things with, and that nobody else understands. And they want that unique quality to the people that they're with. And they might find somebody or a group that really checks a lot of those boxes, but they still end up feeling different from everybody. And part of that is because Aquarius is the visionary. It is looking forward into the future and saying, I can lead, I can carry this group with me. We can look toward a future and actually innovate something together. And so it's naturally going to be separate because there is kind of a leadership quality to this. It's the one leading the revolution. But of course, it doesn't do it alone, where Leo is a bit more comfortable with alone, except maybe when its rulership is way over there, it feels like the spotlight is so far away. So I wanted to check. I got a comment on YouTube. Yes, absolutely starting a project. Thank you, Amanda. Oh my gosh, hello. Yes, I hope that does bring more joy into the world. Thank you for watching. Um, yeah, and so I mean, how beautiful, right? Like you kind of spreading out and broadcast. Broadcast is actually a great Aquarius word. That Leo energy back to the world. So I've got like five cursors in front of me. So I need to find the right one. So this Leo energy, like having to really hold so much of that creative force by itself. So I want to ask you, like, with this Saturn, with this Leo, are you feeling heavy or burdened right now? Maybe it's something that you yourself are trying to infuse joy, infuse life into the world. And you might feel like the only person doing that. Have you been working so tirelessly and effortfully in some sort of a group effort that you've forgotten some of your own personal creativity and joy, and maybe taking a step back and detaching from that and really asking those questions might be something that would be helpful around this time. And again, what I want to say, emphasizing the moon is connected to the body. So if your body is showing certain symptoms, especially being in Leo, this would be the heart itself, because Leo rules the heart. If maybe your heart is saying, hey, I'm tired. Hey, I'm hurting. I'm sad. I'm heavy. I'm aching for something light right now, something joyful right now, really taking the time to intuitively tap in and listen to the physical body. Always something that I recommend during a full moon. Always, how can we listen and receive messages during this time? And then because the moon is so emphasized in the sign of Leo, how can we really listen and come from a more heart-centered place? I think right now with everything, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Yeah, having to go to a cardiologist is pretty dang serious. My gosh. Wishing the best for you. I hope that that all clears up, and getting clarity around that would be something I would totally recommend. Yeah, so keeping an eye on heart health right now and just listening in and making sure you're getting clarity where you can. I again always recommend being receptive to messages during the full moon, wherever their source is coming from. So I'm really glad you got that checked out. Okay, where was I? Talking about, oh, the moon, of course, our beautiful moon, and sort of the heaviness of everything. Yeah, I mean, I think just being aware that we're all going through collectively seeing the news, seeing world events right now. There's a lot that's heavy on our hearts and that feels maybe contradictive, maybe confusing, maybe devastating. Whatever is weighing on your heart right now, how can you take care of yourself first, your body first, so that way you're able to be focused in these future areas, to be building for a future that you want, and whatever that looks like for you, right? Remembering that this needs to come first. Your vessel needs to be cared for and needs to be infused with life, otherwise we all become the shadow side of Aquarius, which is that we're automatons, robots operating and trying to you know work toward this collective future that, like, what is that? I think that would be kind of our shadow side of Pluto here in Aquarius, of where we lose our individual spirit, we lose our individual sense of sovereignty and creativity, and we become robotic and so cold and detached, operating towards some sort of a future. So of course, balance, like, this is a word I can go on and on about. I can get on a pedestal with. But balance to me is an action word. It is not something that crystallizes and stays there forever. We are always in an ebb and flow with balance, with the tide, right? That's what it is. It comes in, it comes out. We have seasons of great balance and seasons where things are chaotic and crazy, and they have lessons in both types of seasons. So when we have this full moon every year, it is asking us to come into alignment to find a balance, or find, just working with both sides of this area, Aquarius and Leo energy. How do we balance the individual creative sovereign soul with the needs of the collective, the needs of our community, and the needs of the future? How can we do that work without losing ourselves? That is the big question here. And again, with Saturn being such a prominent ruler for all of these planets, Saturn in Pisces is asking us to wrap up the story at the very end of the zodiac. And I will also say, in Pisces, he has been teaching all of us collectively over the last 2.5 years what it means when our Saturn structures, our foundations, are the things that we consider to be real and tangible and lasting. What happens when they fade away, when the ocean washes them away and time erodes and there's nothing left? What happens? Saturn has asked all of us to find a concrete faith, an unshakable belief within ourselves. That is that Pisces. Pisces is unity and compassion and seeing ourselves as a greater part of the universe. And so Saturn is questing all of us in these last days. Again, it's only going to be here for like not even 2 more weeks. On the 13th of February, it will move into Aries and it will be reborn in the zodiac, starting from the beginning. So Saturn is in his oldest age expression right now. He's with Neptune still, even though Neptune's changed signs. Neptune has such a profound influence over him, being so close. And of course, he's in Pisces, Neptune's sign of rulership. And so much of Saturn's journey right now is wrapping up all of these stories and saying, where have you lost the tangible, the real, the parts that you thought were always going to be there, the things that you maybe took for granted, the connection with people that you thought you might have had and now has been eroded away for whatever reason. Can we get back to a sense of connecting with others, of unity and compassion with others, seeing people suffering and wanting to help, wanting to reach out? And how can we close these chapters by recognizing that that belief and that unshakable foundation has existed within ourselves the entire time, and that that is really the only thing that can last in our lifetime. So there's a lot of heaviness and confusion in here, but again, it's all stemming from this place of a deeper belief system in the future, in what's possible, in how do we express ourselves authentically and beautifully and raw and real, while also balancing what the community is asking of us, what the future is asking of us as humans. What does that mean to be human in the future? That's going to be such a big question we're getting this year. If we want to look forward a little bit, because I do want to talk about this, is We're going to have, of course, Pluto in Aquarius. And you can see right now our nodes of the moon. Here's our north node at 10 degrees of Pisces, our south node at 10 degrees of Virgo. Later this year, they will be moving into Aquarius and Leo. So this axis is so prominent in 2026. That will be in August when they shift. We're going to have so many major players. Jupiter's going to be moving into Leo for one. And so that Leo Aquarius axis is really a huge part of this year. It's very highlighted, very important. We're all going through this collective balancing act. And right now feels like the foreshadowing. It feels like that moment. And again, be open to the messages, folks. Like what is being foreshadowed right now that may be coming up very strongly, very loudly in the summertime when we have all these major shifts taking place. And then we're going to be living through this nodal shift into Aquarius and Leo all the way until 2028. Can you believe it? And we just started 2026. I know. But we're going to be moving through this transit through 2028. And this is a collective recalibration of what is Leo and Aquarius? What is that axis? What do they share? What do they confront each other with? How can we benefit from both? A little bit more of the specifics here. The North Node will be moving into Aquarius. So this is a place, frankly, of discomfort. While it might be aspirational, we see the high side of Aquarius and we say, yes, we want to move to the future. We want everyone to be treated equal. We want everyone to recognize their unique, beautiful selves and that we all work together in harmony at creating a utopia, right? Like this is the high side of Aquarius. And oh my gosh, what a team player. How absolutely brilliant is Aquarius energy. It goes outside of the box to things we never considered before. And I'm sure the innovation in the next few years is going to be unlike something we've ever seen, like in all of human history, right? But it's not necessarily going to be something that's actually that comfortable for us to reach for because the North Node is what we are not yet. So we are reaching for it. We're having to work for it. And collectively, we may just not be there. We're not quite there yet. Why? Because we have parts of this South Node that's going to move into Leo that we're going to need to shed. So parts of the Leo South Node shadow, that's that egocentrism, the selfishness, it's all about me and only my problems and my emotions are the only ones in the middle. All of that is what is being wrestled with over the next few years. And once again, this full moon gives us the foreshadowing moment of what is the confrontation. Is all of Leo bad? Absolutely not. This is a Leo full moon. We're celebrating a Leo full moon. How could we not? Leos are fun. They're full of joy and creativity. And everybody's got work to do. Every sign, every archetype. And so we're going to be looking collectively at that shadow side of Leo saying, what is it that is no longer serving us? And not just us individually, although arguably that's the most important part to you, but what is not serving us as a collective, us in our modern age anymore? What does that look like to shed those things that are really detrimental to, and when we consider, historically, Leo was the king, Leo was the monarchy and the head of state. And we've seen in history, time and time again, how those people in power become corrupted and what it does to the masses. And we've also seen, especially when Pluto has been in Aquarius in the past, what happens when the masses decide they've had enough. I hope this doesn't seem too fatalistic because I do definitely sense that this full moon is very much within our own, like again, as above, so below, right? We are dealing with this on a personal level. If you're seeing this story play out in front of you in the news, in the collective, which I'm sure we are in all of our different perspectives, it is echoing what is going on inside. How can we learn from that confrontation? How can we integrate that wisdom and recognize there are parts of myself, perhaps, that have taken up too much room? And maybe there are parts of myself that are aching, wanting more honesty. When I think about Leo, a good word that I want to sort of close with here is Leo wants to feel important because it was told it was special. It was told it had a gift and it wants to share that gift. It wants to create life. It's ruled by the sun. It wants to give joy and vitality. What happens with Leo is it seeks that external validation so desperately. This is the shadow side, right? Where it becomes performative. And what's so interesting right now is looking at where technology is pushing us, right? I mean, if we look at an obvious example of AI and how performative human nature is becoming in certain areas on the internet, in business, across the world, it's hard to know what's real right now. How can we maybe get back to what is really honest and raw and human and real about ourselves? What are the gifts that we as humanity have that maybe don't look perfect, that maybe don't look like, super polished and clean and filtered, but they are real and they're special too. They're gifts. And how can we share more of that actual life amidst all of this future growth? Can we balance the two? Can we have the progress without losing the gift? Is something I want to end on, I think, in terms of this message and what's been speaking to me. And of course, there are other planets at play here, but I really see these as being the most profoundly speaking because this opposition is so much. So I want to open it up to questions. Thank you so much, Natalie. That's so sweet of you. I want to open it. Oh, thank you, Amanda. I want to open it up to any questions if anybody has some regarding, this chart and oppositions. If you have a personal question, I can try to answer it based on what I might know from your chart if you have it. But otherwise, yeah, I just want to see where we're at. And thank you so much for listening to this part of the forecast. Let's jump into questions if anybody has anything. Yeah, for a Leo full moon, we're feeling kind of quiet, and that's okay. No worries. Not to put everybody on the spot. Well, I'm not seeing any questions come in yet, and that is totally okay. Oh, here we go. Yes. And so I will be doing readings for my Zoom audience. You guys just hang tight here. I'll be transitioning into that once we finish up some questions. Okay, yes. So if you are a Leo rising, great question, Elle. Thank you. So yes, to try and get right. So you know what's what I want to give you some credit for, some grace around is getting it right. So, a rising sign is something that as we enter a room, this is our first impression. We actually really don't have a whole lot of control over this. It's how people are going to perceive us. So, I wonder, since you just learned you're a Leo rising, how much you resonate with like when you walk into a room being a source of life, of vitality, of joy, of sunlight or spotlight, where you're stepping in and people see you, people notice you. They may even be attracted to you or come near you to try to soak in some of that energy. And they also might, see you and be kind of blinded by that and be like, I need space from that, for whatever reason. Sometimes it can shine a light on their own insecurities, right? And so for the Leo rising person, I would say, what this whole Leo South node happening in the later half of 2026 is going to show us collectively, right, what the shadow side of Leo is. And it's something that I would confront in yourself of when, if it's something you want to work on, when I am interacting with someone, when I begin a task, right? When I start something new, a new project or begin a new relationship, when I walk into a room, what are the parts that I feel really like honestly so good about? I feel so grounded in this is me being real, me being authentic and myself versus am I putting on a performance? Am I trying to get people to think I'm a certain way that maybe isn't totally honest or isn't totally comfortable because it's putting on a mask of some kind? That's something I would confront here. And again, it's going to be brought up. It might even be something with the South Node transit that you might have to confront because somebody calls you on it or says like you're not being real, you're not, that's not being honest, that's not the real you. And that may or may not be true. If it's not true, you can look at yourself and say, well, that that actually doesn't resonate with me. It is true, this is the real me, and you're choosing to put a persona or project onto me something that is not real to me. So how can I communicate that within relationship better? And when I was talking about how you start things, that is the rising sign. It's the beginning of our chart. So it's how we begin things. It's how we begin our life. And so when you begin a task, is it something where you are kind of totally wrapped up into your own world and how you feel and how you are going about it. And that's not necessarily the wrong thing. It's your life after all. But is it kind of putting the blinders on and getting tunnel vision and not even considering others, like how they might be interacting, how they might be processing with you or trying to help you even, and you trying to go at it and do the whole thing by yourself, right? So these are all things that I would ask specifically in the realm of the beginning of projects, relationships, when you walk into a room, what part of it is that high side of Leo that's saying, I'm being honest, I'm giving joy, I'm sharing, and even if it's not joy, right? It doesn't have to always be happy. The sun can be fiery, right, too. So are you sharing your anger in a way that's actually honest and real? And are you communicating that in a way that is like loud and crazy, and like rage filled? Or is that something where you're like, actually, I'm really upset about this, and you can be honest and you're not trying to put a mask on over that? I hope that helps, Elle. And if we take a look at your chart, I'd love to look a little bit further at some of your other aspects to see. You bet, absolutely, how that might also be at play. So. Yeah, Leo rising folks. And I will say, I mean, everybody with fixed sign placements is going to be feeling this full moon as well as the transits going forward, like I mentioned in the second half of the year. So that's going to be my Taurus, my Leo, my Scorpio, and my Aquarius people. If you have lots of those placements, that's going to definitely be affected by this full moon on the first, as well as all of the Leo transits we have. And if you're interested, I do have two episodes out that are for free on podcasts right now. On Bonfire Babble podcast, I have my 2026 entire year forecast. You're welcome to listen to. That will be up all year long, and I go very much in depth into those July transits. As well as on a Psychic Story podcast, I have the first 3 months. So we're through January. I'd be really curious if any of you listened to that and if you reflected or felt like that was resonant in any way in January with all the Pluto transits we had. But of course, February and March are still upon us, and I go very much deeply into that too. We have a couple of retrogrades on the horizon. Oh boy. Thankfully, the sun and the moon never go retrograde, and that's what we're here talking about today. Goodness. All right. Well, with that, I don't see any other questions coming in. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this forecast. I want to thank you all for watching and for participating in the live questions and feedback. I so appreciate everybody who shared their time and energy today. Folks in the Zoom room, please stick around because we're going to do your readings next. Thank you guys so much for your patience and sticking through this with me. And everybody, thank you so much for watching on YouTube. I so appreciate everybody's questions and for watching. And with that, I will see you next month for our full moon eclipse, our full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo. Thank you so much.